Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Real to Real Talk. I am Sergio Barrera, and joining me, as always, is the other Real to Real Talker, Paul Britton. Paul,
Hey.
It's time once again to talk movies and movie reviews.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies to talk about. It's the
Yes,
summertime.
there are.
The movies coming out. We got to talk about them.
Indeed. Today, our focus, we've been doing some theme-based shows over the last few weeks.
Yep.
And we're going through a season kind of like we did a few months ago, where it's like, there's so many movies coming out. We should probably just focus on reviewing them, right?
Yeah. Let's just talk about the stuff that we see. And, it's good enough. It's
Right,
like
exactly.
there's really no need to spice that up.
Right. And I think like back then, I think it was like the winter months was kind of the last time we did this, or early part of the year. We discovered that there's a lot of movies of varying quality.
Yeah.
The big release, of course, this week we'll talk about Lightyear, which was released just a few days ago. We will also be talking about 3 other movies available on 3 different streaming platforms. So stick around and see if you want to check out any of the movies we talk about tonight. So, Paul, we have often talked about your love for animated movies,
Sure,
Pixar in particular.
Absolutely.
When you heard Lightyear was going to be a thing, just give me quickly initial thoughts. You saw that it was a thing, and you thought,
we don't need to do this.
Oh, good. That was sort of my thought too.
That was
why did you think that? What made you feel that way?
It's literally just we don't need to do this. It's like this isn't something that people are clamoring for.
Okay.
In the 4th Toy Story movie, like Buzz Lightyear is barely in the movie. Like,
okay.
I don't know that Buzz Lightyear was anybody's favorite character in the Toy Story movies. They didn't do a lot to ever flesh him out in the first place. And I mean, the first movie by far was the most fleshing out of Buzz's character that they did.
Sure.
And I think that was good. And I think we were good. Yeah. I have to say, when the movie first started, I really liked the way they presented the concept of the movie.
Okay.
But then, so, and it's not a spoiler alert. The concept of the movie is before Andy got his toy, Buzz Lightyear, his favorite movie was, it was based off of a character from his favorite movie. This is that movie. Like, so you're sitting down and watching a movie that Andy would have seen in 1990. Okay. Yeah. Great. Do that. Do that. And because that's not what they did. Like, they just made a change and gave Buzz Lightyear the backstory. Like, you're Pixar. Do it smart. Like, make it interesting. Change your animation style so it looks like it's a live action movie from 1990 or something. Make it so that it feels like a 1990 movie. This looks like a super high tech animated movie that nobody would have ever seen in 1990. And
sure,
I don't know what feeling they were trying to convey with this, but I did not feel like I was watching the movie that they said this is what this movie is. I just felt like they had put together a backstory for Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah,
and which is a shame because I would have really enjoyed seeing the action movie. This should have been a live action movie. Like, I think it would have been a lot of fun, very interesting. With Chris, like all the cast, to keep the cast exactly the same,
right?
But make it live action. Like,
sure.
I think Chris Evans has proven that he can carry a pretty decent live action movie.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know that any animated movie ever has done well because, that's the voice of Chris Evans, or that's the voice of Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. Like that, nobody cares. Like, it's like, okay, great, you got talented people to do the voices, but people do go, however, to go see live action movies because, that's Chris Evans, I love him, I'm going to go see his movie.
Yeah.
And the box office is fleshing this out. I mean, this is just not something that people needed or wanted. And
so when it first popped up as a thought. It wasn't even a trailer yet.
Right.
I had a very similar thought of, I might have even asked you, I know I asked a couple of people, I said, why does a doll need a backstory? And, I really initially had no interest, but knowing that we were going to review it for the show, obviously, as it came closer, I thought, okay, I got to go in with an open mind. Paul, this movie, you take away the Lightyear character, might have been a really good Pixar film if it hadn't been tied to the franchise, right?
Sure. No,
because
I agree.
Every aspect of this film is very creative in terms of the story, right? You have to think about, I think this was too complex a story for what they were trying to do, right?
Yeah.
But if you looked at it as a standalone animated film, in space, action based, take away all of the trappings were, around the character of Buzz Lightyear, and this would have been a kind of compelling story.
Yeah, and I think you could have explored some other things beyond just, oh, this is Buzz Lightyear, and
right.
I feel like they were slightly chained to the fact that it was Buzz Lightyear, and limited in that regard. And again, I also think if they had made it live action, that would have helped too.
Sure.
That's going to be my theme for this one. Like, this did not need, like, especially considering what they said they did. This didn't need to be an animated movie. And anybody that was alive in 1992 or whenever the original Lightyear should have been released as a movie would know that this is not the way movies looked at that time. And,
right.
And why not let Pixar make a live action movie? Like, why does Pixar have to be an animated movie, only do animated films? Furthermore, if you're going to do it this way, why can't you just change your animation? Why can't you change it so that we're going to do our damnedest to make this look like these are the effects that you would expect to see from 1992.
Sure.
And that would have just been really fucking cool.
It would have been cool. Yeah.
And the story, like you said, I think the story works. I think the story works. But it would have been even cooler and more interesting. It just would have been way more compelling.
Right. No,
honestly.
I agree.
So
yeah, for what it was set to portray, it just didn't. You had to forget. I think to enjoy it, you had to forget that it was about the person that eventually became immortalized in the doll, right?
Right.
And so, from a review standpoint, I'm kind of torn because. It doesn't do the franchise any service. It does put together a very compelling, entertaining, visually pleasing story because Pixar, it's what they do, right? And so I try to enjoy it without the trappings of the whole, Buzz Lightyear business. And there was a pretty good story told. I think about the audience for this picture and how many will sit there going, what?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, I don't know. Like, I don't know if little kids are going to be drawn in. And I don't know that if little kids care about Toy Story. Like, Toy Story is such, even you look at the progression of the Toy Story movies, 1, 2, pretty close. But then from 2 to 3 is such a huge leap. And, the characters have grown with the audience,
right?
And then 4, the characters have really grown with the audience. Exactly. The audience has kids now, and it's like they understand, that their kid has made a toy using a spork, and that's kind of amusing,
right,
and it's just, man. Who needs the Lightyear movie? Like,
right.
It's a little kid's movie, and you're basing it on IP that doesn't need to be. There's so many things that work on this movie and don't work on this movie at the same time. It's just like, where is this? Who is this for?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That was the first thing that I thought was like, this is going to be a really hard movie to peg in terms of where does this belong and who is the audience that is trying to shoot for? Is it trying to shoot for the people who have, sentimentally loved the franchise through all these years? who frankly are the ones I think that said, we don't need this. Or is it to try to capture the attention of maybe a new audience that then will go back to and pick up, views for the Toy Story franchise itself? If we look, oh, go ahead.
And that's why you make it a live action,
right?
Because guess what? People like me, or even 10 years younger than me, preferably, people who would have been kids when they first saw the first Toy Story, because I was not a kid, I was a teenager by then.
Sure.
But almost probably maybe 20. What was it? 94, 95. So I was 20, 20, 21, 19, 20, 20, 21. When people that age, now would have really appreciated putting forth the effort to make a movie that looks like it was made in 1992. Like they just would have. Like you're talking about people who love meta, who love, the nostalgia to not be openly mocking of anything, but authentic and real. And heartfelt, like genuine nostalgia, and this has no nostalgia whatsoever.
No.
So where's this going?
So then let's do this, because again, I think we agree that if we review this movie as part of the franchise, then it fails because it doesn't do anything for it. But if we just look at it from a story and overall quality of film standpoint, what does work, Paul, for this movie? Because for me, it's the old standards, the expected visuals of a Pixar film. The storytelling got a little too heavy for me and too complex in terms of, I understood it, but it's like you're making me work too hard. What worked for this film, and then maybe your thoughts on what could have.
I really like the supporting characters. I thought the supporting characters were fantastic. His cat, his
brilliant.
His cat, me. It's just I loved the cat.
Every creative moment with that cat, worth the ticket price.
Yeah, for sure. Taika Waititi doing voices in movies. I'm just always going to be. I don't care what his character does. If I hear Taika Waititi's awesome accent, I'm in. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do this.
His little assembly of his his team was such and that's what transported me to a point where I could enjoy this film. Is just not worrying about who the main character was.
And you know what? Keke Palmer does the voice of Izzy. And this goes to the live action. I would have loved to. I think she would have been fantastic, like in a live version, like a live action. I think that would have been interesting casting, and it would have been fun to see that happen. There's just a lot of things that would have been a lot more fun to see happen if we're watching a 1990s style action movie. Right.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things from a box office standpoint. I haven't looked at the numbers, Paul. I don't know if you have, but it's not really. I sat in a near empty theater. It's not there in terms of box office. And yet it's not a spoiler to say that they have set this up for a sequel. And so I say that only because once again, somewhere down the road, we're going to be like, we didn't need this. And so,
if they do make a sequel of it, first I'll be surprised. Second, it will definitely be straight to Disney Plus. That will not see theaters.
Good point.
And I am afraid that we may never see another Pixar movie in a theater ever again. But I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, again, if I'm going to see a Pixar film, I think we're probably not alone. And it's got to be solid animation. It's got to be a polished look. This had that and in spades, in my opinion.
Sure.
Everything from I love watching details when I watch Pixar movies, and everything from the smoke trail of the rocket as it launches off the pad down to, the creative ways in which they all of the robots, the Zergs, and
sure.
Just every bit of creativity that goes into creating this sort of, menacing situation without going too far.
Can I also just add they do give you the origin of how Zerg gets Zerg's name. Not remotely compelling or
not at all
convincing. Not convincing at all. That is not how Zerg got his name. They say it and it's like,
what?
That's like a throwaway what?
Yeah, it's almost like they forgot that they needed to include that.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're retconning Zurg, and they needed to come up with an excuse for why his name was Zurg, and it's just
Yeah.
like, don't. That's a problem. Like that,
Right.
that's a problem with the movie. It's like,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
well,
it's silly.
So here we sit, ready to give our rating for Lightyear here on Real to Real Talk. We do a 5 taco rating scale. A movie can get as many as 5 tacos plus guac if you want to give it some extra love. So for Lightyear, available in theaters, Paul, what is your rating for Lightyear?
It's good enough. I'm giving it 3 tacos. They're not the best tacos I've ever had. I it might be doing this because I gave Jurassic Park Dominion last week 3 tacos, and I just kind of feel like I had the exact same feeling leaving the theater this time as I did that time.
Okay.
And so I gotta feel like, okay, yeah, that's 3. I didn't openly hate anything, so
yeah.
I'm okay. 3 tacos is fine. You're fine. Don't worry.
All right. Well, I'm only going to one up you by adding some guac. It's 3 tacos plus guac for me. The cat gets the guac. The that character awesome. Was so funny. And again,
like, are we seriously saying that there wouldn't have been a cat? This is the problem.
Yeah, okay? Exactly.
So this is the problem with what you've done. What you've done is now be like, oh yeah, Andy wasn't interested in having the cat. Bullshit. Like,
right.
I was a kid who collected Star Wars toys, and if I didn't have R2-D2, then nothing would have worked. Right. You know, like it just, there was no point in having any Star Wars figures if I didn't have R2-D2. Andy is that kind of kid. He's going to have the cat. So
he would have had the whole.
It's so problematic, but whatever. That's fine. That's fine. They did what they wanted to do.
Yeah, too much. Too much and not necessary.
Enough. Right. Honestly, this movie is too much and not enough. That's really what it boils down to.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, make sure you form your own opinion. Check it out. It's in theaters now. So from there, Paul, we're going to jump into our second movie review. That is a movie that you brought to my attention. That having watched it, I wrote to you. And I said, Paul, too many people are going to sleep on this film. The film is called Good Luck to You, Leo Grand. It is available on Hulu. Hulu. And one reason I probably would have missed it. I need to visit my Hulu account more often. But Paul, this is a story that, number one, right out of the chute, so well acted. Emma Thompson is Emma Thompson.
Emma Thompson is just a treasure. International treasure. And we meet Daryl McCormack, who plays Leo Grand, who is so fucking silky smooth. How is there not currently okay, I get Idris Elba. We want Idris Elba as James Bond. I get it. Guess what? This is the fucking guy candidate. I want as James Bond.
We have another candidate. And listen, go ahead. Well, let me just say this real quick.
Yeah.
I immediately, within minutes, was looking at his filmography. And I'm like, I knew I'd seen him somewhere. And he was in the first couple of seasons of Peaky Blinders. One of my favorite
television.
Anyway,
what?
Go ahead. You were saying.
Holy shit, this guy is amazing. Like I don't know how he would do with the action stuff, but with the being James Bond persona stuff, he is fucking James Bond.
Yeah.
I mean, he just is James Bond, and
absolutely.
He is. I mean, it's basically two actors in the whole movie. There are a couple of other people that are on screen for less than 5 minutes,
right?
But it's Emma Thompson and it's Leo Grand, and you said it starts with the acting, and it starts just with the boom. We're in. We're
absolutely.
We're going in.
This is one of those rare movies that you and I have talked about on occasion on the show, where it's like this would be such a great stage play, and it's done so well that you feel like you're in the room with the characters. Can you give just sort of a loose synopsis of the film?
Sure.
I really want people to watch it. I don't want to spoil it.
Super loose synopsis. Emma Thompson is a woman in her late 50s who maybe early 60s. They don't really establish her age. She's, a woman of a certain age who is now single after her husband has passed away. You get the impression he's been passed away for a little bit of time now, and she has a little bit of excess cash, and she wants to hire a gigolo. And and Leo Grand is the one that she selects, and it's about their encounters in exploring her sexuality. And to a lesser degree, his life as a sex worker.
This film, if you read, one of the things that I think does this movie a disservice is the blurbs that are written, on the Hulu site and in other other places where I've encountered information about the film, because so many people will be like, that doesn't sound interesting. It is so riveting.
Oh God, it's so compelling.
A woman, the story of a woman whose life has been the dullest of dull experiences, and who has decided, I will not end this way. This will not be the story of my life. And then, without going too far into what occurs, just there had to be at least one point, Paul, where you thought this is so Sergio's bag, because it's dialogue.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this kind of film.
Yeah. They could have named this movie, in homage to Francis Ford Coppola. They could have named this movie "The Sex Conversation," because that's what this movie is. It's the conversation, but for people talking about sex, and they are really candid, honest. As honest as a movie can be. Conversations about sex, and good, bad. Working as, or being subjected to everything. It's just it's an exploration of the human entity within within the auspices of sex, and it's really good. God, it is so good. It is so good.
It really is.
I just want everybody to go out and see it and go out. I want everybody to sit at home, turn on Hulu, watch this movie, and Emma Thompson, because
listen, as someone who has long been an Emma Thompson fan, to be able to be taken yet again on a ride by her acting, many levels, and that this is the kind, because this kind of movie, I would imagine, for an actor who in a way is exploring their own selves. Right? Because she's playing this woman at the age that she is. She has had quite the career in terms of, over so many years, and a absolutely beautiful woman. Beautiful actor, so strong. At
an age where actors can't find good roles.
Exactly.
Like, there just aren't good roles for actors this age. Who happen to be women, and it's like,
and that's the thing, is that this is such a perfect vehicle for her,
for any
and
actor,
she brings up with her in this format. I mean, I'm sure she wasn't the one casting, but to then play off of Daryl McCormack in such a way that's only going to help him, because this is going to be a critic's dream film. Like, this is the kind of stuff. This is a festival type film, right? And so at the end of the day, I want as many eyes as possible on this movie, because it's beautifully written, it's beautifully acted, it's well directed. Like, it hits all of the major things we look for in movies.
It really is, yeah.
And it's on Hulu.
And it's free on Hulu.
Go see it. You have to see it. And it was fantastic.
And I am, and if you have ever in your lifespan been in love with Emma Thompson, and I don't know if you could have seen an Emma Thompson movie and not have been in love with her. It's like, this is just like a confirmation of, like, yes, you were right to be. And it's really riveting, because she is such an interesting human being. Just in her history, at knowing married to Kenneth Branagh, divorced from Kenneth Branagh, Oscar winner, everything. She's done it all. And to see her get this, it's just like, this is great.
It's great. And listen, to those who I hope will see it, and I'm very encouraged, because my friend Desi's on, and she says I will definitely be checking this movie out now. Thank you, Desi, and I want to know your thoughts once you do. it's one of those films where all the way to the final shot.
Yeah.
I mean, the final shot. I hate this little phrase, but I'll use it because I have to. It's chef's kiss, dude.
Yeah,
It is so perfect.
Yeah, and you know, just also learn to love, but learn to love yourself. That
right.
The key to this movie is learn to love yourself. And so if anybody has ever, forget struggled with sex or anything, like forget that. If you've ever struggled to love yourself, this is the movie that you need to watch to just be like, okay,
indeed,
I'm good with who I am, and that's what's important.
Indeed. Well, with that in mind, Paul, I would turn it over to you. Your rating for Good Luck to You, Leo Grand.
I mean, it's perfect. I'm not going to give it the 5+ guac, but it is getting 5 tacos. Yes. It doesn't quite get the guac. I don't. Maybe I'm quibbling here, but it's 5 tacos. It's as good as you can possibly get.
Right. We're going to keep the 5 tacos right there because for myself as well, 5 tacos, it's not even an issue of I should have get guac or should it not. It just, it hits the mark. And it is one that, I will revisit at some point and I will talk about to people and say, you've got to see this movie.
Yeah.
It is so good because listen, I'm in my early 50s. And it is a very relatable theme for those of us who are, approaching that window of time where you do start to look at yourself and go, it ain't like it used to be. It's just such a great film for, like you said, reminding ourselves that loving ourselves is critically important. All right. You can find it on Hulu. So make sure you do. I don't know if I should say this out loud, but if you need my password, I'll give it to you. So
he didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
He didn't say that. We're not condoning such activities.
Not at all. All right. Well, before we get to our real quick reviews for this week, Paul, I just want to remind folks where they can find us. Make sure you click on, go to Real to Real Talk on Facebook. Just type in the name of the show and search for it. We're both trying to do the prompts.
You go ahead. You do it.
Just type in the name of the show on Facebook. You can watch past episodes, comment whatever your thoughts are on the movies that we're reviewing or on past movies that we've talked about, and just hang out with us there. We want to hear from you. Also, make sure you stop by Instagram to see all of our show posters from the inception of the show at Real to Real Talk on Instagram if you're curious about what we've talked about in the past. Here on YouTube, we thank you for joining us. Please remember, click that subscribe button so you know when episodes land. If you can't watch it with us or be here with us live on Tuesdays from at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. And also, don't forget to click that notification bell and give the episode a like. We appreciate you stopping by. And now we're going to get to, again, I say it every week, but I mean it every week, my favorite part of the show. Paul, what the hell did you just watch?
All right, so we're coming off of the debacle that was Velocipaster. I had to do one for me. And I'm sorry. I mildly broke my rules this time in that I picked an actual really fantastic fucking movie that I'd never seen before and I hadn't heard much about. And at the end of it, I was like, holy hell, what did I just watch? But not because it was fucking weird, but because it was so good that I was like, this is like, I watched it and like, I was literally like, I watched it and then I was like, and then later in the day, I was like, okay, now I need to think of what I'm going to do for what the hell did I just watch. And then I just recently seen Velocipaster, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna do Diabolique because this movie is just insane bonkers. 1955 French film.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, I'm familiar with it, but I have not seen it.
Okay, so 1955 French film available on HBO Max. Just so in case you're like, oh. Paul just mentioned a movie that I've never heard of and not interested in, but I guess I'll watch it. It's available on HBO Max right now. And let me tell you, okay, directed by Henri Georges Clouzot and starring French actors you've never heard of before. So don't worry about that. It's so good. Oh my God. So the IMDb blurb mentions that like it apparently like the guy who made this, Mr. Clouzot, purchased the rights to the book like a day before Hitchcock did. Like Hitchcock was putting together an offer, and like he submitted the offer, and like and the author of the book had already agreed to Clouseau's Clouseau's offer. And this is just like, if you've ever wanted to see what a Hitchcock movie would look like if it was made by somebody else, but well, like not crappy, like, you know, the Psycho remake, but you know, well, like somebody does in a Hitchcock movie, and it's like, wow, that's this is it. Like, this is the most Hitchcocky movie you're gonna get without actually being Hitchcock.
Gotcha.
It's amazing. I'm not gonna give too much away, other than just to say the general plot is there's a husband and wife that run a boarding school. His lover, who he flaunts as his lover in front of his wife, is one of the teachers at the boarding school. And he's horrible. He's just a piece of shit person. Like, you know, just there's absolutely nothing endearing about this person. And so the wife and mistress devise a plot to kill him. And, you know, it has the standard Hitchcockian results. And the twist, I mean, you can see, you know where it's going. Like it's not the kind of twist where it's like, holy shit, but it's like, you kind of know where it's going, but the reveal it doesn't matter, because the reveal is so good, and the way it all happens is so good. And then there's a coda, and the coda is just perfection. It's film perfection. Like literally, like in film class, they teach, you know, callbacks and foreshadowing and all that sort of the coda is that, and then some, and it's perfect. And I love this movie. So
nice.
And you'll watch and be like, holy hell, that was such a good movie. And what did I just watch? And that's what Diabolique is. It's not, you know, it's not by any stretch of the imagination weird or strange, but it is fantastic. So
fantastic. Well, yeah. I have to ask you, are you going to watch the 1996 remake? So
no, I am not.
Come on, man. Sharon Stone.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, you can find out all kinds of weird stuff that Paul watches here week to week. So make sure you stop by so that you can catch up on what the hell did I just watch. Cool. That brings us to this week's real quick reviews. We have two this week, Paul, one from Netflix and one from Apple Plus.
Right.
My suggestion is we start with the Netflix release.
Okay, go ahead. Sure.
All right. So we're going to start with a movie that on paper, no, I can't even say that. It should work.
It's a movie. It's directed by the guy who just made Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
You know, and related note, also made Oblivion, which I love. And, you know, look, and his, you know, is a really good young up and coming director. Yes. It's got Chris Hemsworth in it, who doesn't love Chris Hemsworth? I mean,
right.
You know, he's the, you know, the super darling as Thor. It has Miles Teller in it, who people like. People like Miles Teller.
Yeah.
And Janae Smollett, who, I mean, if you've seen Janae Smollett in anything, you like Janae Smollett. I'm sorry. She's amazing. And then you get this movie, and it's like, oh, well, sometimes things don't always work out as planned.
So I should have done my research more in prepreration, but I imagine this was filmed prior to Top Gun being
during.
Filmed?
This was
during?
COVID.
It was post.
This was filmed during the pandemic.
Okay, so this was filmed post Top Gun, which really, and I was afraid of that because wow, what a difference.
Yeah.
This is one of those, you know, movies that I'm beginning to sort of create this subgenre in my list of movies watched that are Netflix action movies that just don't quite do it, you know, because they produce so many.
Okay.
Netflix does. Concept wise, we've seen this before. I mean, this is there are tropes in this movie that's like, okay, it's the
it lends from a lot of different stuff, you know,
right?
The
Exactly.
Island and, you know,
yeah, but it just never comes together because number one, I don't buy Chris Hemsworth in this role.
Okay.
And it's not because all I see him in his Thor. It's not that. It's that he's trying too hard to be something like I think he's trying too hard to separate himself from what he's known for.
You like him too much. Just say it. You
Yeah,
like Chris Hemsworth too much.
No, it's not even
No?
that because
Okay.
I just okay. I'm gonna say it, and people can crap on me if they want.
Sure.
He didn't need to do the accent, man. He could have just
Been an Australian guy.
Yeah, because it it was already intended to be like a really cheesy character.
Yeah.
It's like just I don't know. That's such a basic
with
note
the best
for me
Spotify list of anybody ever. That's
Yeah, I don't know, man. The acting was off in this film. The story was off.
The story
I had
was
a lot
way
of
off.
trouble with it.
I had my troubles start with this was probably one of the most morally problematic movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it does not address that remotely enough.
No.
Like there isn't remotely enough. You know what's going on here is just morally repugnant, and maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
It's just, hey, we could go to jail for this, and then that's the extent of it. And it's like, well, what about the moral implications of what you're doing being just utterly horrible? Like, no.
This is a movie that could have had like major reveals.
Yeah.
Had it been played a little bit different.
Yeah.
And it just fell flat.
Yeah.
It fell flat.
And I think part of that is because I feel like they just don't address anything.
Right.
They never address anything directly head on. And it's like, no, you can't go through this movie without at least saying, this just sucks what you guys are doing. And you have to stop, or I don't know.
Yeah. There is a story here somewhere.
Yes, for
and
sure.
not just because it was based on a book, but there's a film here that could have happened that just didn't. And I don't know who to blame, to be honest, because I don't want to blame the director. But
well, no, I'm going to blame the director, honestly.
I mean, no, obviously, but what I'm saying is I don't want to just put everything on them and call it a day.
On another pod that I listened to, one of the people that was reviewing it mentioned that there were satiric elements, and I'm like, there were?
No.
What?
No, I'm sorry. That would have been given it some sort of undue substance. It just wasn't there.
Yeah, it just wasn't.
Yeah, Yeah. So let's get to it.
Okay.
Again, we call it real quick review for a reason.
Yeah.
Paul, your rating for Spiderhead available on Netflix.
I mean, I'm giving it 2 tacos just because there was enough in there that I was mildly interested in what was going on, even if I was like cringing the entire time.
Yeah. So. I struggle with this, and it's because I'm landing in a space where I don't want to give it 2, but I don't want to give it just 1.
I've been there before.
1 plus guac. Yeah,
I know I understand that feeling.
It just doesn't quite get to 2 for me because the flaws are gaping, like
gaping flaws.
Yeah, and so I can see that it was what they were trying to do.
Soundtrack is so good.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody just gave me the album for Spiderhead, I'd be like, fucking awesome. Thank you.
I have that playlist on my Amazon music.
I mean, it's basically yacht rock throughout, and which is I guess that's the satirical element to it. I don't know. It's just great. The soundtrack is amazing, but
they did some work there for sure. So yeah, at the end of the day, Spiderhead just doesn't hit the mark.
Yes,
which leads us.
Answer Blair. Yes, it was much better than Eraserhead. Come on. I fucking hate that movie.
That's funny. I feel like he knows something there about you. So, all right, our final movie that we're going to review as part of this episode is available on Apple Plus. The movie is called Cha Cha Real Smooth.
Yes.
And Paul, you brought this one to us. And
did you get to it?
I did.
Oh,
okay,
cool.
I got to all 4 this week.
Oh, cool.
And I wanna have you drive the convo on this one as we quickly review this one.
This was I believe it was a Sundance. If it wasn't Sundance, it was South by Southwest. It was one of those. It was an early festival movie that was purchased by Apple Plus to
Sundance,
to be released by them. Yeah. It's a movie directed by Cooper Raiff, who previously had made Shithouse, which I haven't seen and I've really wanted to see. It stars Cooper as well. as a 22-year-old kid leaving, getting out of college and not really having any direction in his life. It's, it's basically, honestly, it's a modern Graduate. The Graduate. That's exactly what it is. It is a modern telling of it's Cooper Raiff's telling of The Graduate, and Mrs. Robinson is happens to be named Domino in this one, and it's played by Dakota Johnson, who is fucking amazing in this movie. Like I'm I don't know about Dakota Johnson a lot of times. I guess my 50 Shades experiences with her is sullied a little bit, but she's really good in this movie, I thought. There's a young actor with autism, Vanessa Burkhardt, plays Dakota Johnson's daughter, and it's just, who is amazing. Like it's like, holy crap, this is such a great character and such a great actor. And the story basically is that Cooper Raiff's Andrew has become sort of like a party planner by accident. And because it's kind of a smallish community, he keeps, and most of the parties are bar bat mitzvahs, he keeps seeing Dakota Johnson and they develop a relationship. And he also develops a relationship with her daughter. And obviously the two relationships are totally different in what they're going for. But
of course.
And it's just really it's just absolutely compelling character story of the growth of this relationship and these relationships. It's just good. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if I made a mistake, because here lately, what I do is I watch a movie, then I have to ponder on it before I get to the show, to our show. And upon first watching, I think the mistake I made with this movie is that I watched it immediately after I watched Good Luck to You, Leo Grande.
Oh, okay.
And so when you put those two side by side, it's not going to get there.
It's not as
good. Right. Yeah. But having thought about it, Dakota Johnson, I agree. Just a stellar performance in this film. What I did enjoy about this movie was all of the relationship development that you see between, because it's not just between he and the daughter and he and Domino, but also he and his younger brother. The way in which he interacts with his parents. I mean, there's so much. This character sort of binds the whole cast together in a way that's for me was enjoyable to watch. I was again very predictable in terms of the direction it was going to go and end up.
Right.
And maybe that was the point. To the point where I was like, okay, there really was no other resolution here. But I think I still land on it felt I don't know how to explain it, Paul, except to say I felt like it could have been deeper for where it was going.
Okay.
And it just didn't reach that level of like emotional investment to where like I was it's a good movie in this guy's opinion. Won't revisit it because it just, I don't know. It just felt there.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain.
No, and that's okay. No, that's okay. So. And I think that's all right. And I think that's an okay reading of what it is. But I also think that's okay as the movie too. I don't think it needs to, like, it's, I said it's kind of a modern telling of The Graduate, but I mean, it's not breaking any sort of barriers that, like, or taboos or anything like that sort of The Graduate does. It's not at The Graduate's level.
No.
But it's, I think for what it is, for what's presented, I think I was really I was really captivated by the characters and I really enjoyed it. And you're right, it doesn't like try to make any sort of grandiose or major statements, but I don't know that it was supposed to be.
Yeah, and that's probably the fault of my perception or the expectation, because what I will say, and I almost forgot to mention this, the scene where we meet young Andrew at the very beginning.
Yeah.
It really does a great job of setting up the movie and what's coming, right?
Sure.
In a way that really had me captivated.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's true. Yeah.
But as it proceeds, I felt like that impact that scene makes, I wanted more of that.
Okay.
There was a point where the movie for me sort of plateaued in terms of like emotional investment of the characters and kind of where they were taking us, and it just sort of felt one level.
Yeah.
But I cannot say that this was not a bad film. I did enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy it.
Like another scene that I thought matched that sort of emotional tone was the first scene where he gets Dakota Johnson back home.
Yes.
Domino and back home, and like they have a moment, and it's like it's just they're completely on two completely different pages at the moment, but it's a really interesting moment because
Right.
and it's I thought it was really handled extremely well
Yeah.
by both of the characters, both of the actors, and the scene just plays really interesting because it's like it's hard to say, okay, I could see it going that direction, and I thought it was a really interesting take. So yeah. I want to compare it to a movie from 1994 that I love. It's called Barcelona. Have you ever seen that movie?
Long ago.
Yeah. It has that kind of feel where there's just a lot of talking. You get character development, and that's it. Like it's talking and character development. And that's what this movie is. And and it's not looking to solve any problems or reveal any depth. It's just, I mean, character depth for sure, but like, it's just presenting characters, and
Gotcha.
I like that. I enjoy movies that just present characters.
Gotcha.
And that's what this does, and I thought it was interesting. So
I like it.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I appreciate your insight, Paul. All right, so then for Cha-Cha Real Smooth, available on on Apple Plus.
Sure. Yeah.
What is your rating for Cha-Cha Real Smooth?
I'm giving it 4 tacos.
Nice.
It's really, very solid, very enjoyable. I thought it hit all the right emotional tones. I liked it. 4 tacos.
Indeed. All right. Well, I'm just going to go a little bit less there. I'm going to go 3 tacos plus guac.
Okay.
Mainly because there were some really, really strong moments with the characters. I love the interplay. I did, even though I said that there was a point where I felt like the film plateaued and just sort of became the same level the whole time. There was still enough for me to feel like, okay, I'm glad I saw this. I felt invested. And then the plane landed and I was fine. So, but yeah, there is a good film here. I think some will enjoy it more so than I did. So I really hope that people will get out to Apple Plus and watch Cha-Cha Real Smooth. And really any of the films that we talked about today, even Spiderhead, but not really.
Yeah.
We would say, check it out. Because what do we always say, Paul, about people forming their own opinions?
They should do it.
Exactly. Don't take only our word for it. Go check these films out and then tell us what you think. So yeah, Paul, I believe we're taking a break next week.
Yeah, we're off next week, but then we'll be back the 5th of July to cover America's favorite entertainer of all time, Elvis.
That's right. In fact, we're going to do a bit of a Baz Luhrmann retrospective as part of that episode. And so make sure you catch up on your Baz Luhrmann films, folks, before you join us in 2 weeks on Tuesday, the 5th of July. 8 Eastern, 7 Central, here on YouTube and also on Facebook Live. So make sure you plan to join us, and then we will review the film Elvis, which I'm excited for. I'm really looking forward to it. So, all right. Well, Paul, it has been another fun week of talking movies with you. Thank you for all that you bring. You're awesome.
You're amazing.
And the world's a better place because we're in it.
Yeah, I think so.
No, we say that to all of y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you. And as we always say, you are awesome. You're amazing. And the world's a better place because you are in it. We'll see you